How to spot feather pecking. You'd think it'd be obvious. I've got no feathers on bits of my chickens. However, there's several reasons why they might not have feathers on them. Hi, it's Phil from Flights of Fancy here with another Ask Phill. Feather pecking is an issue that as chicken keepers we all get involved with at some time or other. It can be a real nuisance. You end up with chickens with big bald patches, or worse still, open bleeding wounds on them, which obviously drives the chickens wild and can cause some real problems. So today we're going to look at feather pecking. We're going to look at how to spot feather pecking, what's the causes and reasons for feather pecking, and hopefully how to stop feather pecking. So we'll deal with the obvious ones first. One, they could be molting, in which case they will be losing feathers from areas of their body. Birds don't molt all over normally at once. They do it sort of bit there, bit there, bit there, bit there, bit there, basically so that in the wild they could still fly. Of course, our chickens can't fly very well, but they still abide by the rules. So molting is one reason they could be losing their feathers. The other thing that causes it is the chicken being broody. Again, in the summer, you'll find, late spring, early summer, you'll find that some hens will pluck the feathers from their breast, which will mean that they can get skin on egg contact in the nest to raise the temperature and humidity of the eggs, so that when they sit on them for 21 days, along come some chicks, if you've got fertile eggs or a cockerel. So that's the two causes that we accept as being perfectly normal. What we're interested in is feather pecking. Feather pecking is mainly caused by bullying. So what causes the bullying in your flock of hens? We've got things like lack of space, we've got boredom, we've got stress, we've got lack of protein, and we've got too many treats. So now we're going to go through that little list and break it down and see the actual detail in it. Space. Your birds spend a lot of time in the house, especially in the winter months, 12, 15 hours a night. And the perches are normally in rows, and in front of each row of chickens you'll have another row of chickens with lovely little fluffy sweet feathers. These are called sweet feathers, which is what's around their rear turrets. Now they actually taste quite nice to the chickens, they're full of protein, and they will get bored and peck them. So if you see your chickens with bare bottoms, you'll probably find they're all the ones on the front perch. So that's one thing. Boredom. If chickens are bored, like us, they get crotchety and they will just fight and be generally annoying with each other. So much like us during lockdown, when we're all shut up in the house together, children argue with parents, parents argue with children, etc., etc. So that's the same thing there. All these things cause stress, but stress itself is a natural thing with a chicken because they're a prey animal. They know they taste like chicken and they spend all their time worrying about what's going to eat them next. They want safety. So all it needs is one thing that's going to affect them, and it'll put their behaviour out of kilter, and things will go out of hand much quicker than they would normally if they weren't stressed. For example, bullying. Yeah. Then we've got lack of protein in the diet, which we'll head into a little bit later. But lack of protein in the diet puts their whole diet out of balance, and things just don't go right. So they'll get stressed. They'll start losing feathers. Their feathers won't grow back. And the other thing is too many treats, which we'll go into in a minute in a bit more detail. But again, that's upsetting their diet completely. They need a balanced diet. So, what methods do we use to stop these problems? Boredom, first of all. Boredom in your run. If you put some wood chip down, throw some mixed corn in it once or twice a day, chickens that are pecking and scratching around for food will not be pecking each other. They are entertained. Looking for food is an entertainment for chickens. So any way that you can get them having to work for their food, to look for it, it'll stop the aggression and the boredom. If you put extra perches in the run, great, chickens love a new perch. They'll take turns getting up on the new perch. Hanging stuff. You can hang cabbages, you can hang all kinds of things, pecking blocks, boredom busters, all this sort of thing you can hang up, especially if it swings a bit. It's great. It's movement, again, it's stimulation for the birds. My favourite thing is CDs, because they're flashy and a bit of colour there, and again, they'll peck at those for a long time and take turns in it. Keeps their brain occupied, stops them getting bored. The other thing you can do is what I tend to do, if you have the ability to, is have a cockerel, because the natural balance of a flock of hens is a cockerel and a number of hens. The cockerel will become the dominant bird because he's the cockerel. He'll tell them many, many interesting things, like where the food is, when it's time to get up, but it does stop the bullying in the flock. So if you've got the ability to, I would suggest you have a cockerel. Now, if you've got a bird that is being very aggressive, so you'll tell the one that's aggressive because it's the one with no feathers missing, okay? You have to address that bird. So you isolate the aggressor, you take it out of the flock, out of the pen, and put it in a small enclosure next door, so that that bird can see the rest of the flock but isn't part of it. For after a week, 2 weeks, you can reintroduce that bird into the flock. It's going to come in further down the pecking list. It's going to take quite a while for it to work its way back up there. It may never do that, in which case you've controlled its behaviour. You'll probably get another dominant bird then, but hopefully it's not one that's so nasty. If you do get injuries where they've actually broken the skin, or if you've got pin feathers coming through after the molt or something like this, there's a very good blood supply to those pin feathers. If they're pecked or plucked, you will get blood flowing there, which is a terrific attraction to chickens. They love it. Blood, food, in you go. So what you need to use is gentian violet spray, something like that, antibacterial wound powder as well. Get it on there, cover up the fact that there's blood there, and of course the antibacterial wound powder will fight infection on the site. They don't see purple the same way as they see red, so that'll hopefully stop them actually pecking that spot. The other thing you can do is use anti-pecking sprays. Now we've got various makes of these. They're mainly clear these days, and they're based on Bitterex, the stuff that you use to stop you from biting your nails. Tastes really acid and horrid. Bitter, in fact. So for most birds that will work. You apply that to the area that's been pecked, as long as it hasn't got an open wound, which you will address, let the wound get a bit better, and then you can apply the anti-pecking spray. If that doesn't work and you've got a particularly persistent pecker, yeah, then you need to put something like Stockholm tar on, which is a treacly-like preparation. You can get it in a spray, you can get it in a tub. It stinks, it's brown, it's sticky, it's not the most pleasant thing to use. It's certainly not the most pleasant thing to peck either, and it does do the job. So it is the thing of last resort, because everything will get a bit brown and sticky, but that's the sort of last thing to try. Now, going back to the protein in your feed, you need to look at getting a proper balanced feed in there. When your birds are recovering from the molt, if it's dark and cold and grotty, look to raise the protein levels in your feed, which you can do by using growers pellets, chick crumb, or something like Garvo chicken treats or Garvo Alpha Mix. It's got some nice little shrimpy things in there, which again addresses the boredom part of it, because they'll search through and do that. Increasing the protein levels increases their ability to refeather. So that's the main thing with that. A balanced diet is what you need, which leads you on to treats. We all love to spoil our chickens, especially when they're shut up for months on end in a run and you feel sorry for them, so you give them treats left, right and centre. Well, it's a bit like children and broccoli. Yeah. You can give them a Mars bar as a treat every now and then. If you give them too many, they'll never eat their broccoli and they won't get their vitamins. Well, exactly the same thing applies with your birds. You need to, if you see signs of feathers not coming back, or just the birds being a bit down, like I say, put them on a restricted diet of pellets, layers pellets. Like I say, if you increase the protein levels, they'd grow as pellets or whatever. And that will then give you that balanced diet. It's a complete diet in layers pellets, and it's all in balance. You've got all your minerals, all your vitamins, and the correct level of protein. Unless I say, as you say, you've raised the level of protein by giving them a different feed. But it's important not to give them too many treats, or you will actually mess them up. It's just not good for them. In the wild, they balance it naturally. They get worms, they get weeds, they get all kinds of things. They're in a run, so you need to give them that balanced feed. The most important thing you need to do with your flock of birds is look at them, watch them, be with your birds, so that you can see the signs of bullying. So you can see the signs of stress, so that you can see any bald patches, bare patches, and all the rest of it. And if you do that and take the right measures, hopefully you're going to have lovely fluffy chickens and avoid naked chickens. So thank you very much for your time, and let's have lovely chickens. Thank you. Bye-bye.